Today we are going to be doing a string swap on this Kramer American. It is equipped with a Floyd Rose floating trem, and I actually have this as a floating trem. I like it that way. I don't like to block them back, and I have the painless way to set them up. Having done this with popsicle sticks and 9-volt batteries and all the kind of things that you see all over the place, I designed this little piece I call the TremWedge. Right now I have these sized for the original Floyd Rose, and eventually I'll have them for Fender Strats and then Floyd Rose with the sustain blocks that a lot of people add to these. So we're gonna go through the setup procedure for this today. I think you'll be surprised at how easy it is to set up a floating trem and to get it right the first time, every time, without the headaches. Our first order of business is to take off the back plate here. Then we wanna take these and loosen them each . Our next step is removing the locking fasteners here up at the nut. I like to detune the guitar before I take the strings off of it. To take off the strings, I usually like to put a little pressure on the whammy bar and then just let the strings out one by one. I like to stay as organized as I possibly can while I'm repairing guitars. Keep all your screws in some type of container that keeps them away from the finish of the guitar. The last thing you want to do is roll over a pointy little wood screw like this and damage the finish on a vintage guitar. I was taught on a Floyd Rose on a locking tremolo to not cut off the ball end, but to string the ball end through the tuners. Putting the ball end in first makes it real easy to cut these to length. I always just cut them off right at the back of the saddle there. And then you put them down into the string holder. I always like to make sure that's good and centered. Push this ahead a little bit. Again, we'll line this up with the back of the saddle, clip it to length so we're centered, grab our Allen key, if you just take one screw out of this bar here, you can swing it to the side and it makes everything much easier to string, and then you can just put it back in when you're done. This is the time where I like to put this bar back in place. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to put our lockers back in place, but we're not going to lock them, we're just going to put them there. And it's just to hold the strings in place in case anything wants to jump. Our next step is going to be to tune this just close to pitch. It doesn't have to be dead on. We're going to get her in within range. I'm going to back these off another little bit here so that we have plenty of room and we're good and relaxed on the springs. If we look at our bridge, we've backed the springs way off and it's tilted forward now. We've got it just close. Tip this guy up and we're going to be looking at two different things. And I've got two cameras rolling here. So we want to put this block in, and when we put this block in, we're looking for this plate to be perfectly level. So we'll put the block in, and then we'll push back on the trem bar, and the block's going up notch by notch until this thing is sitting perfectly level. I got one more to go. I think we're dead on the money. So now this block is in place. I'm looking at it, I might need to go one more. There we go. Now we're sitting dead level. I'm going to flip the guitar up like this. We're going to plug her back into the Peterson. And take note, I mean, this thing is dead level. Now what that block is going to allow us to do is we're going to be able to tune these all to pitch perfectly without having to fight the float in the tremolo. So you guys who've done this before, you know that once you start tuning the strings, it's a back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. This takes the back and forth out of it. We're going to tune this to pitch once, then we're going to flip it over, tighten the springs, and we're going to be done. Reset our fine tuners before we get going all the way here. Now we've got it dead on as far as the Peterson goes. We are going to tighten these two springs. We're going to keep them very even, just making sure that this claw is parallel to the cavity. So we'll start with that one. And I like to go in half turns, kind of back and forth. So there's a half. I need to make sure this is in the right spot. We're all good. So we'll go a half a turn over here. And kind of probably just need to get on the square and narrow here. So there's half a turn. We're going to go, there's a quarter, there's a half. And we're waiting for this block to fall out. And the second that it falls out, we know that we are exactly where we need to be. Sometimes you got to turn it back just a little skosh, but not much. There it goes. So we'll take it out. We'll see if we're in tune. And it sounds dead on the money to me. Now we're going to look and see if we have perfection here. And it looks like we do. Dead on the money. At this point, I always like to go through and tighten the locking part of the nut, and you don't want to over tighten it. This is a snug thing, not a tight thing. You just want it snug. You're just keeping the strings from slipping, and our guitar is ready to go. So that is how you use the TremWedge. If you want to buy one of these, they are available on my website, skyscraperguitars.com. If you want to make your own by wrapping electrical tape or something like that around popsicle sticks or batteries, you can absolutely do that. But again, I would say if you work on multiple guitars, it's good to have some adjustability. And this has got 64th inch steps in there, about an 1/8 inch a piece. So you just kind of wedge it up in there and you hear it click, click, click until you get to the right spot where this is perfectly in balance. And believe me, you'll save hours of time, whether you do it yourself or whether you buy one of these. Right now I'm doing an introductory offer until the end of the year. These will be 10 bucks a piece. After that, I'm going to sell them for 12 bucks a piece. So a small investment. Again, if you fix very many guitars, this will pay for itself in the first guitar that you work on. Rock on.